Hello and welcome. I'm Dawn. This is Soul Simple Life Shifts. Today we're just going to go over a couple of shifts in terms of how we view our life's journey. And in particular, there is, the shift from seeing life as a journey as opposed to getting to a destination or completely focused on goal orientation. So that is something that I think has been in the awareness for many of us for, at least the last several years, and for some of us, decades. So the first shift is to expand how you're seeing your life and be more at peace with being on the way in your life and being immersed in and engaged in all of the aspects of the journey of your life, and not so much focused on measures or specific points of arrival or achievement or success. So one shift is from the way that historically many of us have looked at life in general and looked at it as if, even if we do this unconsciously or unknowingly, we're often looking at how much we can assess or determine or understand or measure or prove or certify. And we think that once we can do that, we will have a greater level of, comfort, control, and be maybe more self-assured. And it boosts the ego, right, to know such quantifiable measures. And the shift here, or the invitation, is to shift into how much can I embrace and experience in any given context, any given time frame, any given situation, any given relationship. How much can I expand and embrace and really experience here in this moment, versus how I can pick it apart and measure it and quantify it and put it in a little box and feel better about myself because I have assessed this thing. I hope that's making sense. So that's the first shift, and a whole new way forward together is possible when each of us, and then within groups, various ways we come together, when we start really asking ourselves, like, how much can I really embrace about who I am in this, how much can I let myself be fully me here? How much can I receive fully the experience that is here for me? Another shift that we can make is this idea of arrival, right? The destination. And we will celebrate when we achieve this thing or get to this milestone marker or arrive at this destination. So there's this idea of delay that is built in, and we will celebrate when. And, like, we see it as if we have to make this long, like we have to do this sequence of logical steps or ordered steps, or perhaps we see we have to make this journey, we have to put in the years at work, or we have to get to retirement, or we have to wait until we have kids and raise a family, and then. So there's this, again, built-in idea of delay, and we'll celebrate out there, versus celebration at the outset of something, celebration at the beginning of your journey in whatever area, your journey of relationship, of parenthood, of career, of a business endeavor, of your health journey, all kinds of things. So try to shift into this idea of, what is there that I can celebrate right now at the beginning or in the middle of something? How can I bring the full joy of completion into the present moment, not meaning that you're faking, that you've already done the thing, but rather that you can open your energetic field up. Again, it goes back to that experiencing fully, but it's also to celebrate being on the way, to celebrate setting off in a new direction, to celebrate being where you are, like, look at where I am, and just to celebrate the present moment of that. Not necessarily just to check off, right? Oh, I'm that much closer to this destination point. Another way that we have seen things before in terms of our life or journey is this idea that we have to go to a particular environment to experience a particular thing. So one metaphor that's used is in terms of religion or faith or spiritual experience. We have to go to the temple. We must go to the temple to pray. We must go to the ashram to have this deep meditative experience. We must go to some certain kind of meeting in order to be on a journey of transformation. So this fixed location idea can be shifted into our connection with our own journey and with all that is, in terms of like the creator or God or life itself, but also in terms of other people. Our experience of that is not actually limited to location. In terms of that religious piece, you can have a spiritual experience and worship or bring your attention to your own faith journey or spiritual experience or religious beliefs in a lot of different settings. So it's an opening up, again, is the way forward. Another way we've looked at our life's journey is to break it down into individual, like, breakthrough moments or mountaintop experiences, or this was the moment when, which does have value. And it is, I think, a worthy endeavor to keep those moments, top of mind, center of your heart, really be able to touch those milestones. But again, instead of all of the specific, this was it, that kind of like peak experience, what if you could look at your life and your journey in a new way and see that there are patterns of change that have been at play throughout your journey, and still currently the current is moving in the current of the now, and that there is always an ebb and flow. And these things, those patterns of change and the ebb and flow, those are moments that matter ultimately just as much, and maybe more in some cases, than the peak moment of enlightenment or some thrill or deep experience. Those profound moments, again, do have value, and yet there are ways that we can look at our journey and see that the more subtle movements and shifts and patterns and the ebb and the flow day by day really are something that not only contribute to the change that we're undergoing or the transformation, but they are, the magic is there in those more subtle realms or moments. We often have had a way of looking at life, and this kind of goes back to the first one, where it's very defined. There's like almost, and for some people there really is, but there's almost for many of us this idea of predetermination. Things are set, I'm just going through the motions, doesn't really matter. And I'm in this lane, I'm in this category, I'm in this role. And what I'd like to invite us to see is that there can be, even within the context of a role or a defined path, there can be room that we create, an opening up again for mystery, for miracle, for the unknown, for allowing ourselves to be in not knowing, and to not like linger in it and just kind of give up our direction, not be directionless, but rather to accept that and allow for the fact that these things also are informing our journey and allowing us to be formed and to be informed, as we go through life. So just see where you can loosen up the parameters a bit. And instead of seeing things as so defined and determined, allow a little more space. Really, that's what all of these things I'm talking about, it really does come down to opening up your field of experience so that you can be more fully present and more fully invested in life. Another one that I mentioned was the might miss opportunity, like, oh no, like the fear of the FOMO, the fear of missing out, or this endless distraction that we create where we're constantly examining the past or projecting into the future. And I have done this quite often, and I still slip into it sometimes, and I notice how there's this level, like it's a low level anxiety that's always running, like be on guard, and that leads to a way of engaging that does reduce or constrict our ability to just relax and fully be present in life. And so the shift that we can make here is to going back to that idea that now is our next opportunity window. Now, it's not out there. We don't have to, scan the environment and spot it. Now, again, worthwhile endeavor to do that from time to time and to have vision, certainly, but there is also a way in which that becomes just endless distraction, looking back about what you did wrong and just endlessly healing, or making lists, or carrying around the burdens and the weight and the heaviness, and then also that kind of projecting into the future, even future faking with others, even worrying and constant anxiety about what's going to happen. Oh no, I'm not safe. And if we can just be fully present, even as we are considering the past and the present, past and the future, if we can be fully present and remember that here, right now, being with you as you are, is where the magic really is, and that there is a way at which, as we relax into that moment of the now, things naturally open up and we begin to see opportunities that we did not even know were there. The last one I'll mention is going through life on your journey in whatever area of life, or just in general, where you're always battling against something. You're always overcoming. You're always being met by roadblocks and challenges, and you got to prove or bust through. And again, there's great value in the strength of leadership and forward movement and momentum and action, and even from time to time, strategy and maneuvering or moving through. And sometimes there is a necessary battle that must be entered into. But rather than looking at life as a constant battling against or beating down, what if we shifted into rising above? Again, not as in separating and it's not there, not that, that's way too far in the other direction, but rather rising above enough that we can see that we are not the battle. I am not the way I'm feeling about this particular thing, and life itself is not against us. Life is working in our favor. Life truly invites us into the full experience of leading our lives, and also being able to discern when the battle that we see or that we are projecting or that we are creating at times is not something that we have to always fling ourselves into. We can rise above, and often what we find is when we begin to rise above and reconnect with our whole self and our soul self, that we actually see that these things that we saw as we had to battle against aren't actually even real in some cases, or if they are real, they're not our battle to fight. We were just feeling that, usually because of conditioning. So those are some of the ways that we can shift how we are seeing our life. And it really comes back to seeing yourself as being on the way, as opening up to the fullest experience that you can have, and bringing the best of who you are, and looking for that whole new way of seeing yourself, whole new way of being yourself, whole new way of freeing yourself within any given path or circumstance. I hope that was helpful. Not going to really mention a specific life tool there, but there are many that you can use. And with all of the things we talked about today, I would just suggest awareness is key. And then once you become aware, set a specific intention with regard to just one of these things that you could do. So for example, let's just pick the I'll celebrate when kind of thing. How can I actually celebrate me and the people around me now, in just the sheer fact that we are alive today, and that this is the journey of our lives, or our journey together in creating a certain project, or etc. And how can I just really be present to that? How might that inform how much fun we could have, number one, but also how might that shift how I'm feeling about things? How might it lighten my load?